You think of your skeleton as a silent structural frame, a passive coat rack for your muscles and organs. But this is profoundly wrong. Inside the hard, calcified shell of your long bones, like the femur in your thigh, exists a universe. It's not hollow, and it's certainly not dead. It is a dense, spongy, blood-soaked world called the red bone marrow, a biological metropolis operating 24 hours a day. This is where the river of life that flows through your veins begins its journey. This inner world doesn't look like a clean, orderly factory. It's a chaotic, gelatinous mesh of connective tissue, fat cells, and blood vessels called the stroma. And hidden within this complex architecture, like a queen in a colony, is one of the most important cells in your entire body, the hematopoietic stem cell, or HSC. This single cell is the ancestor of every single blood cell you have ever had or will ever have. It is functionally immortal, capable of dividing to create both a perfect copy of itself and a new daughter cell ready to begin a journey of transformation. That new daughter cell immediately faces a critical choice. It's a fundamental fork in the road. Based entirely on the chemical signals it receives from its neighbors in the stroma, it will commit to one of two paths. It will either become a common myeloid progenitor, the parent of red blood cells, platelets, and frontline immune cells like neutrophils, or it will become a common lymphoid progenitor, destined to create the specialist cells of your adaptive immune system, like T cells and B cells. This isn't a conscious choice. It's a conversation written in the language of proteins and receptors, a decision that shapes your body's ability to carry oxygen or fight a virus. Let's follow the myeloid path, the one leading to red blood cells. The order to ramp up production doesn't come from inside the bone. It's a long-distance call. Your kidneys, organs you probably associate with filtering waste, are also sophisticated oxygen sensors. When they detect even a small, sustained drop in blood oxygen levels, perhaps because you've traveled to a higher altitude, they release a hormone called erythropoietin, or EPO. This hormone travels through your entire circulatory system, but it only has a message for the bone marrow, screaming a single urgent command: make more red blood cells now. But how does a kidney cell know oxygen is low? The mechanism is beautifully simple and incredibly clever. Inside these kidney cells, a protein called HIF-1A is being produced constantly. When oxygen is plentiful, it is immediately tagged by other enzymes and destroyed. It exists for only a few moments before being eliminated, a perfect cycle of production and destruction. However, when oxygen levels fall, the enzymes that tag HIF-1A for destruction stop working. Suddenly, HIF-1A survives. It builds up, travels to the cell's nucleus, and activates the gene that produces EPO. The signal is sent not because something is made, but because something is no longer being destroyed. The bone itself is not a passive container for all this activity. It is the architect. Specialized bone cells, called osteoblasts, the very cells that build new bone tissue, also create and maintain the specific microenvironments, or niches, where hematopoietic stem cells reside. They don't just build the house, they furnish the nursery. These niches provide the physical anchor and the precise chemical signals that tell an HSC whether to remain dormant and silent or to divide and begin the process of creating a new generation of blood cells. The health of your blood is directly tied to the health of your bone cells. This entire, finely tuned system can be thrown into chaos on purpose. When you get an infection, your body's priorities change instantly. Immune cells elsewhere in the body release inflammatory signals, cytokines, that flood your system. When these signals reach the bone marrow, they act as an emergency override. The normal, balanced production of red cells and platelets is suppressed. All available resources are rerouted into a massive, rapid production of myeloid cells, like neutrophils, the foot soldiers of your innate immune system, to fight the invasion. Your skeleton is a key strategic asset in the war against pathogens. Most astonishingly, your bone marrow can remember. Not in a neurological sense, but in an epigenetic one. A concept called trained immunity suggests that certain infections or vaccinations can leave a lasting mark on the hematopoietic stem and progenitor cells. These are not changes to the DNA sequence itself, but chemical tags placed upon the DNA that alter how genes are read. This training means that the descendants of these stem cells, new immune cells produced weeks, months, or even years later, are born pre-primed, able to respond faster and more aggressively to a future, even unrelated threat. Your bones carry a molecular memory of past battles. So your skeleton is not a scaffold. It is a deep, responsive, and intelligent organ. It senses oxygen levels via a proxy in the kidneys. It listens to the whispers of the immune system. It keeps a chemical memory of past dangers. It houses the immortal wellspring from which nearly 1 trillion new cells are born every single day. The bones you perceive as the most solid, stable, and unchanging part of you are, in reality, home to one of the most dynamic and vital processes in your body. And you have to wonder, what other conversations is it having that we have yet to overhear?
Monotony has grown fast. Nearly 2,700 people have watched in the last few weeks, yet less than 0.03% are subscribed. It would mean a lot if you joined by hitting subscribe. And again, thanks for watching.